Questions on redeeming tax sale properties. Hi, this is Julia M. Spencer. I'm a real estate advisor, investor, and your #1 source for real estate advice online. And with this video, I want to talk about some questions that I've had on redeeming tax sale properties. Tax sale properties has been a really amazing topic that a lot of people have contacted me with all kinds of questions. I've had questions regarding the overage investing part, questions on redeeming properties, questions on how to get into it, questions about title searches, all those kinds of videos. You can find them on YouTube today. If you just go to my channel and search whichever topic that you want. If you haven't found the topic that you're looking for, please send me more questions. It seems like I get a lot of hits on my videos for the questions that are related to tax sale foreclosures. And I want to get to those as much as I can because that's a really interesting topic for a lot of investors. But this particular video talks about one particular question I had on tax sale foreclosures, and it has to do with redemption and with problems redeeming tax sale properties. So a lot of people ask me about the mortgages and what happens to the liens. I've made lots of videos about that. But this particular question has to do with a subscriber who has answered actually a question from another subscriber and basically said that I must be bullshitting people, and I'm sorry for saying that word, but that's actually what he exactly said. But this is an investor who's been investing for about 2 years from what I gather in tax sales. Is a very young investor. He states he's 20 years old. And he basically has been investing for just a couple of years and has had a lot of bad luck with tax sale foreclosures. And some of the things that he mentions are the following ones. And there's a few of them that he mentions, and I want to just address them. I actually responded to his questions and to his input. And by the way, I appreciate the questions because a lot of other people have the same questions too. But one of the things that he mentions is that it's probably very difficult to get a tax sale foreclosure property because most mortgage companies probably pay off their taxes before it even goes to an auction. So it's very difficult to even find properties that can be sold at a tax lien foreclosure, a tax sale foreclosure. So the one thing that he mentions is it's difficult to find tax sale foreclosure. So he's saying, I'm screwing people over giving this information because it's difficult to find these properties. And as I am recording this, actually I'm going to a tax sale on Tuesday, today's Sunday, and I have 147 properties that are being auctioned off on Tuesday in my county only. And these are city and county properties, and they're not the same, they're different properties. And I actually personally have a hard time going through the list and even looking at all these properties even in a month, because I always recommend that you drive by there and put your eyes on the property before you bid on anything. So not having enough tax lien properties going around, it depends on the locale. I don't know where this person is located. In my county here in Georgia, in Chatham County, there's plenty of opportunities to invest in real estate, and a lot of times a lot of these properties are just nobody even bids on them. And it's not because they're bad properties, it's just because there's not a lot of people that have the courage to actually do it. They're afraid of this, they're afraid of that, they're afraid there might be a lien on it, they're afraid to take the house away from somebody else. They're just afraid, or they just don't have the money. So in a lot of cases, a lot of these properties are not auctioned off once in a day, they're auctioned off twice. Because what happens is if the county commissioner that auctions the properties off, whatever doesn't get bid on or whatever doesn't get paid off at that time, they'll auction it off again at 2 o'clock. So there's never an issue with having enough properties going for sale at any time. And this is just one county in Georgia. Now there's lots and lots of counties in Georgia and many more in many other states. Now, one thing that this person states is that the mortgage companies pay the taxes. That is correct in the states where the mortgage companies are obligated and required and want to basically establish escrow accounts on behalf of the mortgage holder, the owner of the property, and basically collect from their monthly payment. So he's correct in the fact that most mortgage companies establish escrow accounts where they collect money from the property owners in their monthly payment to pay the taxes and insurance, by the way, too. However, there are states where escrow accounts are not required, and in those cases, it's the mortgage owner or even the homeowner's responsibility to pay those taxes out of their own pocket. And a lot of times also there's properties that don't have a mortgage. So again, the property owner is responsible to pay those taxes themselves once a year. And if they don't do that, we have a lien. And in my case, the properties that I've been on, a lot of times are vacant properties that have been vacant for a while, or the owner is deceased and the inheritors or descendants have declined to accept their inheritance or accept the responsibilities, because the way it works, and I believe this works that way in probate, so a probate lawyer can correct me on this, but the way it works is that if somebody in your family dies and you're the inheritor or the descendant of that person that died, then you have the choice to accept the inheritance, basically. But if you accept the inheritance, you also have to accept the burdens and the debts that come along with it. So you can decline that, and basically then you will also decline any kind of assets that come with it. And a lot of people choose to do that just because they don't want to go through the trouble of having to sell real estate. They don't know anything about it. They don't think it's worth anything, and they're just not interested. They're not even in town, and they want nothing to do with it. And I've found this over and over again. This does actually happen. So there's never a shortage of properties to bid on. Some of the really good ones obviously will probably be paid off, but the point is that I always say this, that money actually doesn't have colors. So basically, if you get a property, and it might be not that great of a property, but you can always sell it, or you can rent it, and you can use that money then to get properties that are more to your liking or more according to your standards. You can't start at the top, you have to start at the bottom. And you know, if you're an investor and you've not been doing this very long, you haven't learned that concept yet. So let's move on to the next point that this person made. So he says it's a shitty thing to do to kick, and I'm really apologize because I try not to use any kind of cursing words or anything in my videos, but the next thing that he says, it's a very bad thing to have to kick somebody out of their own home if they didn't redeem the property after a year. After the tax sale happened, the redemption period is up. You as a tax the tax lien owner have now the right to bar the redemption rights of the original owner, and that owner still lives there. So now you would have to, as a tax sale investor, you would have to basically sue the current people that live there, tenants or owners, for the rights of the ownership of that property. Again, theoretically that will happen. However, if you are a tax sale foreclosure investor and you have used my audiobook to learn how to do this properly, or if you listen to my videos, or if you've done it for any amount of years, just common sense, you would very likely not ever get into that situation where you would have to kick anybody out of their home. You would choose properties, first off, that are not ones that are occupied as a homestead. In fact, I teach people that if there is a property that you're trying to bid on and it's a homestead, and you can see that from the property cards, then don't bid on it, because and you can even see whether it is a homestead or not by seeing the owner's address. And if it's the same address as the property on that property card, then obviously the person that owns the property lives there as well. So I really shy away from bidding on homestead properties, just because I understand the fact that here's somebody who owns the property, or maybe they it's in their family and they just had a hard time paying the taxes. Even then, that shouldn't discourage you from purchasing it, because they still have a very long amount of time to redeem the property, and a lot of times the taxes that are owed are not very high. If you split it up in payments of like 12 months, then it's not very hard for the property owner to redeem that property within the redemption period. And you can also encourage them by talking to them and basically trying to communicate with them. Don't just sit there for a year and wait for nothing to happen if nothing happens, and then all of a sudden start suing them and trying to get them kicked out of the house. So in all my years of real estate investing, I never had to kick anybody out yet. I don't know if I would want to do that. In fact, I have to take that back. That happened almost one time. And in that case, because I understood the way that particular property was set up, I ended up just donating the property back to the owner and getting a tax write-off on donating the property back to the owner, which was a church in that case. So no, I didn't kick out the church out of their property. And it was a really weird kind of deal because it was a tax sale foreclosure property I bought that belonged to a church, but it was a commercial building that they used that was next to the church actually, and was used as a tenant occupied property. So the church was basically getting rent payments from this property, and that money then went into supporting the church, or paying for the church's expenses. So in that case, since that property was owned by the church but it was not the church, there was still taxes assessed, and the church people couldn't pay it or didn't pay it for whatever reason. It went to a tax sale. I purchased the property at the time, but then later on when I found out how everything is connected, I just went ahead and donated that building back to the church and got a tax write-off. So no, I didn't kick out anybody. I wouldn't do that. If you are an ethical, moral, tax sale foreclosure investor, you wouldn't do that either, and you would never be in that situation. If you purchase my audiobook today, it's at juliamspencer.com, and in it I teach you some of the things that you need to stay away from, some of the things that you should invest in, and where and how to find that difference. So the next one I'm going to just read verbatim because it's actually fun to just read what some people say to my videos. So this person says that she, that's being me, she's basically saying that she gave the family a fraction of her massive return she made after kicking them out of their own house that they couldn't afford anymore, and they're magically okay with it because she gave them an agreed upon, that was in quotes, agreed upon in quotes, amount of money so she doesn't feel so bad as a person. Ha ha. Okay, so, and I just love this, and I really encourage anybody that's listening to this video to please come to me with stuff like this, because it's a little controversial, and I like controversy, but I want to really just address this. I didn't make a massive return on this particular house, and the question really was, what happened to this house that you sold then to a third party? But basically what happened is I purchased it at a tax sale foreclosure, a duplex. The duplex has been vacant for many years. Nobody lived there. It's in such bad shape and repair that it would have taken me somewhere between $75,000 and $100,000 to remodel, which I didn't want to spend on it. It's not my kind of size project. But actually one side of the duplex was very much livable for the right kind of family, and be that as it may, I found a family that wanted to live in that side of the duplex and remodel the other side while they were living in one side. And they were owners of a construction company or a general contractor, so they knew how to do all these things on their own. So in that case, what I did, and because I did feel bad for the original owner that they lost their property because they couldn't afford the taxes, what I did is I made an agreement with the original owner to give her all the proceeds from the sale of the property, and I asked her, how much money is it that you're comfortable with letting this property go with? She gave me the amount. I found the buyer. I basically then in that case just quit claim deeded the tax sale document, the sheriff's deed, basically quit claim deeded the property back to original owner, and made my 20%, which is a statute by the state of Georgia of what is the minimum that I would make as a tax sale foreclosure investor if a person was redeeming the property. But since the lady didn't have the money to give me the redemption amount plus the 20%, what we did like a three-way sale. So basically the new owner came in and gave this lady the amount that she asked for the property, and plus whatever the redemption amount is. So basically, the new owner gave the original owner exactly the amount that she asked for, plus what I paid for it, plus the 20%. So what happened is I quit claim deed the property back from me, from my sheriff's deed, to the original owner. The original owner then sold the property to the new owner. And the money went from the new owner partially to me and mostly to the original owner. So I didn't really make any money on that property. I made the 20%, and I probably should make a video on this with like a blackboard, which I'm going to do next. But basically, just to address that, the agreed upon price is the price that the original owner has asked for. And no, I did not feel bad as a person at all, because I actually really helped this really old lady who had this house in her family for many, many years to sell it at a price that she was very comfortable with. She could not find a buyer for that price on her own. I had a large established network of wholesale buyers already, and I had methods to find people that were buying properties like that up very quickly. And so I was able to put all of us together, and in the end, really everybody was happy. I was happy because I got my initial invested amount back plus my 20%, which is a good investment still. It didn't make very much money, but it was still 20%. The original owner got exactly the price that she wanted to walk away from the property and be happy. And the new owner got a really good deal on the property. And no, I didn't make a huge profit on this, and I didn't screw anybody over, and it wasn't a massive return. But this is how you sometimes have to just resolve these things. You have to talk to the people. You have to see where people's interests are. You're not doing tax sale foreclosure investing to screw anybody over or to take their property or to kick them out of their house. You're trying to clean up what other people have left. That's the way I look at it. These are vacant properties. A lot of times they're in really bad repair. They're not your A+ type properties that you will find there, and they have a lot of problems. So you're taking them off from no man's land, essentially, a lot of times, or from people that really have been trying for years to get rid of these properties, like this lady. She had anxiety issues because of this problem. I mean, she really just wanted to see it go to somebody who would do something with it. That was her main concern. And so it was a good sale for that case, and this person that made this comment didn't understand all the background in this, and that's why I'm making this video, to make that known. So this person now says, I've been there, and I mainly don't invest in these anymore because many of the tax liens are filed against landlocked and uninhabitable or just plain garbage properties. Again, had this person read my book on how to make money with tax sale foreclosures, he would have avoided to purchase any uninhabitable or garbage properties, because I teach exactly what you need to look for when you purchase these properties. For starters, you never buy properties without putting your eyes on them first. You have to learn how to read property cards. You have to know the areas, and you basically stay away from certain properties, and that's for sure. But if you just go in there and you start buying, hey, this is a good deal, I get a property for $1,000, well, it might not be a good deal, and you need to know what you're looking for. So if you've not been doing this for very long, in fact, the first 2 years that I've done this, I've felt the exact same way. I just threw in the towel and I said, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore. But eventually you get the hang of it, and if you listen to people like myself that have been in the field for a very long time, that's how you can learn then how it works, how the laws work, how the rules work, how the liens work, how the county and the city work, and that's when you start making money. But you have to put an effort into learning how to do this property properly. Otherwise, you will lose your money, and it will be a very frustrating experience for you. And then he says, also, the process is a long legal process that takes many months and requires a good lawyer. Now, I do encourage everybody that does tax sale foreclosures to get a good lawyer, but the plus side of that is this is not very hard work to do for a lawyer, and there are plenty of lawyers out there that can do it. And it's also very cheap. It doesn't help you any to do any of the legal work yourself. because a lot of times the title searches themselves already justify the payment for a lawyer. So I always say, shop around for a good lawyer. Once you find one, keep them around and keep working with them. And once they know how you work and what kinds of properties you buy and how that particular lawyer works, that's when you can jointly make these things work a lot faster than you would normally. And it does take a long time. So if you've only been investing in tax sale foreclosures for 2 years, you've maybe had enough time for one property to pass the legal process of the redemption period. Here in the state of Georgia, it's just a year. In other states, it's 2 or 3 years, so it takes even longer. So this is not a quick turnaround process. You can make money within 30 days, but you have to know how to do it. You have to be able to skip this long there's ways to skip the long redemption periods. And all of these things I teach in my audiobook, so really, really encourage you to go to my website, Making Money with Tax Sale Foreclosures. Make sure you download that today and learn all those tips and tricks. I'm not trying to screw you over. I have actually accumulated this information over many, many years. I have made all the mistakes. So if you're going in there all green and you don't have anybody to guide you or mentor you, you're going to be stuck and it's going to be frustrating and you're going to lose money. So don't delay. Go if you really want to get into tax sale foreclosure investing, go to my website, because that is your very first stop. This is the book that I wish I would have had when I started. Unfortunately, I didn't. So I had to learn everything from the school of hard knocks. I had to make the mistakes myself. But now I know what I'm doing. So you have an expert on your side. I want to be your expert and your mentor. So go to my website, juliamspencer.com. Subscribe there. Download that audiobook. And I don't think there's anything else this person mentions, but I'm gonna actually post this video and attach it to that comment, and hopefully I can get the word out that tax sale foreclosure investing is not for the beginner. However, you don't have to be a beginner for very long, and some of the information is very confusing, but I can help you to get there. So don't delay. I hope to see you investing very successful soon. Don't forget, go to my website, juliamspencer.com right now. Thank you.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.